The next thread is cousin just named their child a similar name to mine. On a much, much lighter note, she says, my husband and my cousin just happen to have the same name, Andy. My husband and I decided back when we found out the gender that we would name our child Theo. My cousin's wife just had their child a few days ago, and they decided to name their child Theodore. We never discussed it with each other, and we both never posted it on any forms of social media whatsoever. So now we could very possibly have two Andys with sons named Theo/Theodore born within 2 months of each other. Should I just name our child a different name with only 5 weeks left of my pregnancy, or just go with the name we originally decided on? I would honestly, this is me personally, I would probably just go with the name that I wanted, depending on how much I actually liked the name and depending on whether I had a short list of other names that I liked equally as much. But that's just personal preference. What I find really interesting about all of these is this idea that, hey, if I name my kid X, that should be a unique name that no one else has. At the very least, no one else in our vicinity has. And I kind of get it because you don't want confusion and so on. But I don't really get it that much. I don't think it's bad to have kids who are called the same name within the same space. A lot of people will go into, we'll read some of the comments in a second, but people will go into, hey, how much time do you actually spend with those people? Because maybe you're never even going to be aware of it. But honestly, I don't think that kids care very much if someone else shares the same name. I think so long as you find a way to make it clear when you're referring to one child versus the other child, then it's not a big deal. The amount, like the desire or the question, I guess, should we name our child something else with only 5 weeks left of my pregnancy? It sounds to me like OP does not want to pick a different name. And so just don't pick a different name. It's not a big deal. I can totally imagine a situation where the cousin and his family get then annoyed, like if their kid is born and they call him Theo, that they are like, hey, how dare you copy our name? And the answer is no one owns a name. You can use whatever name you want. It's fine. It's fine. Not to say that if you actually went out of your way to copy someone, it's not a little bit of a bitchy move, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. If you genuinely like the name and you genuinely want to use it for your kids, just go ahead with it. One person says, I would think about how much it may bother you that they're named the same. Would it matter long term if they have the same name? I.e., do you all spend a lot of time together, live near each other, etc.? I have the same name as my second cousin on my dad's side, and it never came up much in my life. It just didn't matter. OP says, I think I'm most upset because I don't want the boys compared to each other because they have the same name and are born around the same time. Also, my family is just straight evil, and they'll say something snotty every time there's a family gathering that I named mine something similar after finding out what my cousin named his child, since mine will be born a month later. Now, that sounds to me like there's a lot more going on, and it's not really about the name. The name is just that. It's kind of the superficial, shallow level where that comes up and you see the conflict. In general, when it comes to the boys being compared to each other, they will be compared to each other. Just having boys at the same time in the same family will result in them being compared to each other no matter what you do, irrespective of what names they have. Like the name thing is not going to play a role here. So they will be compared to each other. If you want to change that, then this is a conversation that you can go into whenever you notice it happening, whenever you see it, you can respond to it. So if someone says, hey, your kid Theo is so much smaller than Theodore, and Theodore is able to walk at this many months and your kid isn't, and so on, then it's completely fine to have a couple of phrases like, every kid is different, every child is unique, they all develop at their own paces, and there's nothing wrong with that, and they focus on different skills at different times. You can have all of these conversations. It's not a big deal. You can also just let it roll straight off your back. And when it comes to your kid, you can be very intentional and very careful about how you talk to him when if he's ever compared to other people, that he understands that he is his own person, that he understands there's no competition between him and his cousins or his second cousin or whatever. This is all relational. That can be fixed if you want to call it that. That can be fixed on the relational level. The next part is my family is just straight evil, and they'll say something snotty every time there's a family gathering that I named mine something similar after finding out what my cousin named his child. that sounds like its own problem. It sounds like maybe communication in your family is not great. Maybe you should be distancing yourself a little bit from it. Maybe you should learn to shut down conversations a lot faster if people accuse you of things. I would personally say if you want to call your kid X, you should just call your kid that. And if anyone doesn't like it, that's not your problem. If anyone thinks you copied it from someone else, it's not your problem. I would only care about, like, if you're friends with the cousin, then I would talk to him about it in advance just so he knows, and you clear the air that he doesn't think you're trying to take something away from him or from his wife. But that's literally it. Otherwise, just there's no reason to buy into the drama of it and create more of it yourself. That's my opinion. I know it takes a lot of self-confidence, and I know it takes the kind of character and the kind of personality that says, I don't really care if my family is annoyed at me. I don't care if they make snotty comments about me. I know that that is not the case for a lot of people. So if it's something that you would rather avoid, then fair enough, go ahead and change the name. But if you don't want to, it's your life, your kid. You can decide what you want.